our Oracle and MySQL DBAs. Okay? Load testing. Here's one of the reasons I had my shirt, is because over the years we bought 2 load testing software packages, paid for them, and they were for crap. They couldn't do the volumes that we did. Even if they could, we could never get them to reproduce a set of scripts that mirrored our environment reliably. And so, that's where my shirt came in. Vendors suck. So, Bruce, when I heard that they were going to go out and get load testing software to identify bottlenecks, my first reaction was, what are you nuts? Of course I went, and they did. They went out and bought it. And much to my surprise, they found bottlenecks. One of the more interesting bottlenecks was that it turns out that when you run servers in a rack, you can relate to this because you have a lot of servers, right? You fill servers in a rack, right? Or, you only get, it's about 22 U's to a rack, or 10 or 21 U's. I mean, because of the heat. It's all about heat. And we're out of the third party, so they have very restrictions on the density of stuff. Well, what we found out, much to our dismay, is that if you run the servers hot, I mean hot in the sense that you're running maximum load, right? Versus, which you get at that peak versus the little stuff, it draws more power. Now, that's nowhere in any of the specs. Nowhere. That when you run this puppy to its max, it draws more power. And we blew the circuits in the rack. And we were melting things because of the heat. It's like, oh, crap. Better to find out now than on the 14th when all you can do is watch it melt. They found that. And they found a couple other bottlenecks as well. Incredible. And program optimization, we had here again, we had people that didn't write the code, look at the code. And it was tough because the guy who wrote the code was very proud of it, if you can believe that. I was trying to explain to my daughters, who neither of them are in IT, so there's a rule in IT. Every programmer thinks every other programmer's code is crap. Okay? So for him to give it up to somebody that never saw it before was hard. We told him, shut up anyway and do it. And guess what? They found ways to make that thing much more efficient. Just another set of eyes. But somebody that had no credibility, not that you don't, in that area. But we needed that different perspective. Last one, asynchronous processing, the one that is a good example of why you send people out to conferences. We had a guy go out to a conference, and one of the presenters was with a company that was trying to help the IRS. Who would want to help the IRS? Well, if they paid you, you would, right? So here's our problem. They were trying to encourage the submission of tax returns electronically. Well, remember my graph about the peak on the 14th of February? Guess what it looks like for the IRS on April 14th? The same thing. This guy had the same problem. So here's one of my staff out in the audience going, at least I'm not alone. But this guy had an answer. This guy had an answer. He says, we don't have to do all of the processing when we get a submission. Because the way they had designed a system, and when you submit it, it had to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things in order to log it in properly and make sure everything is there. Well, this guy said, no, we don't have to do that. In fact, the only thing we have to do is say, we got it. And put it somewhere where we know where it is. And we can get it later. Hence the asynchronous component. This guy figured out, no, break the rules. We don't have to do all those 10 things. We just got to catch it and put it somewhere where we know where it is. Well, guy comes back and says, what about greeting cards? When people are sending greeting cards, because what happens on the 14th is a combination of things. We have queued up millions of cards that are being held to be delivered on the 14th. And then we blow it out there, and all those people come, but a lot of times people come in at the last minute. That's the problem with the, it's the good news and the bad news about the internet. You can come at the last minute and send an e-card to your significant other or others, okay, and have it get there automatically. How do they know that you just, you waited till the last minute? They never know whether it was last minute. So they come. But you know what? You don't have to turn around and deliver it in the next 30 seconds like we do every other day. If you held it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even an hour, how are they going to know? In fact, they don't. You'd never know. So he said, aha, why don't we do asynchronous processing of cards that want to be sent? And that's why that's up there. All that taken together, we spent less than that $1 million. We got it done in less than 6 months. And best of all, on both 2004 and 2005, it was like that MasterCard thing, flawless. Okay? It was, and all because we were forced to be innovative. We were forced into it. If it wasn't for the fact that we had those constraints that were totally unreasonable, we probably would have never done that and never learned the fact that ordinary course of business, we don't care about innovation. But we also learned that under stress, we could rise to the occasion. And that was a very important lesson. Very important lesson. Okay. So, like I told you, we didn't do everything right. Got plenty of stories, especially on the not doing it right thing. So I got this group that reports to me, called the product database. I mean, when you're in a business where your goods are electronic, our inventory is electronic, your product database ought to be the most important thing to you in the whole wide world. Yeah, okay. It turns out it's one of those shoemaker's children. It's a stepchild. But to me, it's one of the most fertile grounds we have for innovation. Part of what this group does is support the people who make our product. Hopefully, now see, you got mostly in the audience are men. How many people have sent an e-card here in the last year? Come on, don't be ashamed. Okay, actually, you guys are better than most. Guys, I don't know, for the lady in the audience here, I don't know how to break this to you, but guys are typically insensitive slobs, okay? Even though e-greetings allows you to be idiotically simple to send a greeting card, they in fact don't. 70% of our traffic is from women. Okay, but we do some nice cards, I think. I'll put my plug in for our sites. If you like a little edgier, go to egreetings.com or Blue Mountain. Some really good stuff. We have some really creative people. Okay, and a lot of it's Flash. And part of what my group does is help support these people. And I've said to them, I said, look guys, there is just this wealth of opportunity out there. People have Flash development forums. And they're very proud of their special effects that they put, and they put them out there for people to use. I want you guys to take 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week. And all I want you to do is go out and surf. Look for stuff to steal. Steal shamelessly. Why not? Heck, it's out there. They're giving it to you. Go grab it. I said, this is part of your performance. Right? Your performance review. So we do this twice a year. We sit down, we say, did you do what we said? Yeah. How well did you do it? All that kind of stuff. I said, this is going to be on your performance reviews. So 6 months later, I come back to the manager and I said, okay, Tell me what we did with those 2 hours every week. He said, well, we didn't do too much. I said, what do you mean you didn't do too much? Well, the bottom line is they never did the 2 hours. Why? Because they were always trying to get that next thing out. Boy, if we don't get this out, we got to get it out for Mother's Day, and Mother's Day just doesn't move. That's what I think about holidays. You know, a lot of times you work under things. Well, it doesn't matter if you miss a month. Well, if you miss a month for something related to Mother's Day, you miss a year. Calendar's pretty unforgiving. So it was always, well, if it wasn't Mother's Day, it was Father's Day. If it wasn't Father's Day, it was Halloween. And it just never ended. They never got to it. So at the end, it's like you got a 0 for that, man. And why? It's because we failed. It wasn't part of our anatomy. Now, what a sad thing that is, okay? That you can't take 2 hours a week out of somebody's time to just let them go. And you just, we failed. And this gets into, innovation. If, why innovation fails? Why aren't companies innovative? Why aren't there more people fighting to be the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Business Week or Forbes or whatever from innovation? It's because it's not part of the genetic makeup or the anatomy of a company, particularly one that's always focused on meeting a month, meeting a quarter, making a year. Okay? And that was our problem. Another failure. Okay. So here's another thing. This is really applicable to more of the managers. But one of the comments I got was from the CEO is, how come your data warehouse group isn't telling us where to how to get sales up? Okay. How come your IT is not coming up with a new product offering on the cell phone? We don't see you guys doing this. You should be leading us to the promised land, because our business is largely technology. How come you're not doing this? And it's like, gee, I'm supposed to do this? But I found myself in a situation of having to really defend myself. Well, the other thing he was asking is, where is your leadership in innovation as IT? Because you're fundamental to our business. It's a great thing about my business. In fact, the CEO's right. They can't do anything without me. They think they're a marketing company. Ha, they're wrong. Okay, they think they're an e-greeting card company. Ha, they're wrong. They're a technology company. They're a software company. Because what we really sell is electronic. We sell it through software. It happens to be through the web. They can't do anything without me. That's a great position to be in. They need me. But they're looking for direction. And that's a tough thing. Anybody who's ever in that position really needs to take some best defenses and offense, but try to partner. You can't do it alone. They can't do it without you, but you can't do it without them. And that's a tough point to get across. Where this line is between the leadership of IT versus the business. And it's the reason a lot of CIOs and CTOs don't make it, because they can't work this out. But it's all part of the corporate culture. Are they serious about innovation? So what can you do? And again, this is meant to be applicable to anybody here. Okay, whether you're an individual or a manager or what. Okay. We talked about people. You as a person, as an individual,